Hello, everybody. This is Dave Emmons on a special strange reality show. Strange because this is all about me. I don't have a guest tonight. This is about what's happened to me the last couple of weeks. My wife and I took a trip out west, and I dropped her off at the airport, and she flew out to see her daughter in Seattle. And I drove out, so I drove all the way out there, about I guess 2,100 miles out to Seattle from Illinois, and I went through, of course, Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and then to Seattle. It was a long drive, and I did a long stretch of long hours. But some of the things that happened to me, my wife was already in Seattle when all this took place. I took off on September 17th, and what happened to me on September 18th and September 19th are things that I'll never forget. I thought maybe I was growing out of this. Some people say when you get older, ET experiences don't happen, UFO experiences don't happen to you, but they really are. There's been a lot of small things happen to me, electronics. Some young gal that looks like the girl I ran into in 2010 in Sedona that was an ET. She looks like her. So I've seen her about 6 times now around areas, stores, and places. It's like she's following me. I'm not paranoid, and I'm very much on top of the game, of course, as far as thinking's concerned. But when I took this trip, I knew it was going to be a long trip, and my age, I know I've driven a lot of long hours before, but this one here was kind of like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go past my age and to get this done. But what happened to me was something very strange and stuff that I'll never forget. And I've been talking a little bit about it, and I posted a couple of pictures, but I'm going to run through the pictures of what happened to me and where I was at, and I'm going to share these pictures with you. Okay, I'm getting to the share part, and okay, here they are. Here, I'm going to share what first happened to me on 9/18, and I was approaching Torrington, Wyoming. I'm reading off the notes because I got to remember the highways and things of that nature. Torrington, Wyoming on Highway 85. It was a 2-lane dark road, and I saw this object going down behind a farmhouse. Just kind of looked like this, except a different angle. It was bright orange. It looks like it was coming down to land. I didn't see where it landed because the highway was over here, and so I didn't see that part of it. But you can get the gist that it was an bright orange object. I couldn't tell what it looked like because it's so bright. Actually, it really was bright. And then I got down the road, down to after I passed Torrington, Wyoming, on this 2-lane dark road. It was very pitch dark. It was really dark. It was kind of scary. And I was driving late at night, of course, and I was trying to get to I-25, and that'll take me across the state. And that's where I wanted to get to. But I drove past Torrington, and when I got past Torrington, I started seeing orbs like this. Now, these are drawings, of course, AI drawings. I don't want to get anybody wrong. This is AI drawing. The first one was AI drawing. But this is what it looked like. I had 4 orbs. One of them was a large white orb, one was red, and 2 smaller orbs. And this was on the I-25 connection past Torrington. It was in Chugwater. Chugwater, of all places, a strange name. It's in Wyoming. That was 25 minutes later after I passed Torrington, at about 5:30 a.m. on the highway 211. It was a 2-lane dark road. And from there, I kept driving. I kept watching it. I said, that's a street light. No, that's not a street light. There's no street lights. That's a car. There's no cars on this highway at that time of morning, about 5:30 in the morning, Wyoming time. And I thought to myself, okay, what can it be? And after about 20 minutes or so, I thought, okay, these lights are following me. And this is exactly what I saw in my rearview mirror. And I saw those lights, and I got scared. And believe me, after writing a book like this, my life history actually of UFOs, what do they want? This is loaded with a lot of experiences. But the thing of it is, I got scared, and it was late at night by myself, nobody around, and I thought I was going to be abducted. The first thing I thought about, I better call my wife in Seattle and tell her that if I'm missing, this is what happened to me. I've been taken or abducted. No, really, kid, I'm not kidding. I'm a little nervous talking about it right now. And I very seldom ever get nervous talking about something, but this made me a little afraid. And I was just a little bit nervous about the whole thing. So I went down the road some, about another 20 minutes with these lights following me. And it was almost close to 6 o'clock in the morning when that happened. It was between 5:45 and 6 o'clock in the morning. I didn't keep track of time that much on that. But these 4 orbs followed me almost all the way to the connection, about 2 or 3 miles away from the connection of I-25. Well, something apparently happened that I didn't even know, because the next picture I'm going to show you something that astounded me when I looked out my rearview mirror and I saw this. This is also a drawing. I saw 2 little grays about 50 feet behind my car as I was driving away. I was driving away. I didn't know I was driving away. I thought I was still in motion, but apparently I wasn't. And they must have been running across this 2-lane road. The trees didn't look like that. The trees had leaves on them and everything, but this is an AI drawing. And they was running across the road, and I looked in my rearview mirror, and this is what I saw. I said, "Oh my God." I said, they must have stopped me somehow or another and hit me with a light and knocked me out, and I didn't know anything was going on. So I went another it was about 15 minutes before I got to I-25, and that was around 6 o'clock, 6:15 in the morning. And my watch stopped. Actually, both watches stopped at 6:15 in the morning, and I don't know why they stopped. I thought the batteries were brand new, but that's what happened. And I thought, okay, I looked at that and I said, it was 5:45 my watch stopped, the watch that I was wearing, and that's about the time that these jokers were running across the road and behind me, and I saw them. They was moving pretty quick. They don't move slow. They're pretty quick when they move, and they look something like that. And so that happened to me. But as I got down the road, I felt like, wow, I was all shook up inside, and I thought, what happened? What did happen to me? I wasn't really sure. And but I think what happened is they hit me, stopped me, and they set me back up in the car, these 2, and that's why they took off running after I got going in my car again. They erased my memory. Of course, they do that quite a bit. And so I got down the road, and I thought to myself, okay, what else am I going to see? Well, I did see at 6:15, I saw a 7-foot-tall black furry Bigfoot on top of it was a butte. They were kind of like flowing buttes. They looked pretty, and there was a tall tree on top of it, and then there was a small black tree, I thought, next to it. But then I saw it moving, and I was on the interstate I-25 when I saw this thing moving, and I thought, okay, it's alive. And I kept watching it slow down on the interstate a little bit, and I watched it, and it swung around a tree. And I thought, oh my God, that's a Bigfoot right there off the interstate. And I thought, that's the first Bigfoot I've ever seen. I said, wow, that third eye really opened up after these ETs, I guess, got a hold of me. But then I thought, okay, don't let your imagination run away from you, Dave. You're excited. And so I said, okay, I'm going to settle down a little bit after seeing the Bigfoot. And so after that, I drove on I-25. And I got to, I guess, the town. I drove quite a distance. I drove about 6 hours, I guess, and I got to Livingston, Montana. And it's off of 190 or I-90 interstate. And it was about, I guess, 2:12 p.m. I got there. And I went into town. I turned off because my wife told me, said, you better go and get some rest and get some sleep. Go stop off at a motel. So I went in this little town. They didn't really have a nice motel. So I just grabbed some gas and a sandwich and took off. But as I was going in, I saw this orb, and I'll show you the picture of the orb here. And it's actually a sphere. This is the top of it. This is one of the pictures. It's the top of it right here. That's part of the orb. It was flowing over this valley, and the highway was just right up here, right where I was sitting. I watched this thing and I thought, okay, it followed me in town and then it followed me back out. It went back across the highway. After I come out on the highway, it was coming back across, and I thought, I'm glad it come back out. I can take a good look at it and see what it is, because I saw it going in town, like it was following me. Now, I'm not crazy. This thing must have been following me and just watching me after that abduction early that morning. I'm calling it an abduction. I don't know. I have no recollection of it or anything, but I saw the little ETs and I saw the orbs, and I felt scared. So that scariness is actually magnetic energy working on you. So when I got back out on the highway and I saw this thing setting off the side, I pulled off on the shoulder. I pulled way over not to get knocked around by another car, and I wanted to take some pictures of this thing. So I did. I took 4 pictures, and this is another one. You can see the orb right here. And that orb is, you can see it right there. That orb is actually, it was bigger in real life than what it is when I took the pictures. The pictures made it look small. Of course, cell phone camera. My other camera was hidden underneath a bunch of stuff that we packed up in the car. But this here was the only way I can get the picture of it is on a cell phone. As you can see it right there. And I'll show you another picture. This is another picture, and I'm going to have to blow this one up a little bit, and you can see it quite well. There's the highway, like I was telling you, and there's the orb. It wasn't that far away from me, and you can see that it's round here in this picture. And blowing it up, it brings it out. So this is the orb that I was talking about all along, and I took 4 pictures of it. And I sat there and I struggled with my camera to try to get a better picture of it while cars were passing by. But when the cars passed by, I didn't hear nothing but a little wind whiz. There wasn't any wind that day, so it wasn't a balloon. It went to the north, and then it went to the south. It's in the south there now. But it followed me in town and then come back out. And that's what was strange about it, is like it was watching me. And I took these pictures. And I felt real nervous about taking the pictures. Little did I know, as I was taking the 4th picture, I think the 4th picture is actually a video, and it. Let me see if I can find it here. Kind of a video here. The 4th picture. When I took it, what happened was there. What happened was I must have got weakened out. My camera dropped, and there's some light here, and the light should have been coming from up here from my windshield, but it was coming down here. Might have been a reflection. I'm not saying that, but this looks like an awfully odd, strange picture. It must have where I got weak. And the reason why I got weak, and here's the big thing that scared me, and I told a couple of researchers about this. That this sphere, like the Booga sphere, like they found down in Central America, and they got it in They got it in Mexico City, not New Mexico, Mexico City, and they're experimenting with it. They found out that it's 15,000 something years old, and it's not made by man. It was made by ET, and so this Booga sphere reminds me of just exactly what I saw. This sphere, this round sphere, that caused this for a whole minute. I'll try to make the sound. It was hitting my car. It made car just move a little bit. It went vroom, 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 just like that. And as it was doing that, there was all kinds of low humming, buzzing sounds in the car. I felt the humming and buzzing, and I thought, oh no, here I go again. I must have got weak, and this is where I got weak, and then dropped the camera a little bit, and it got my foot. But this sound and this low, it sounded like the towels hum, except about 10 times louder. And it was just really rumbling the car. And I was scared. It was a whole minute. Then I took off. And when I took off, I was driving back, got back on the highway. And I thought, okay, this is going to be this is going to be wild. And I turned around and looked in the passenger seat, and I thought my wife was with me. This is how delusional it made me. This energy, I talked to scientists, and they said this energy makes your mind do that. You get a little delusional. And I looked around, and I thought I was talking to my wife. And I looked around, saw an empty seat, but I still kept talking to her. I wondered who. And then I got about 3 minutes down the road. I said, "Oh my God, I have to get back to myself. Something just not right." So I got back to myself, all right. But then when I looked at the pictures, I found this. This was taken in between my pictures. It started at 2:07 and went to 2:12. The pictures did. This picture was 2:07 actually when it first started. As I've been looking at this picture to try to figure out how it got in my camera, somehow or another something interjected that photo into my cell phone camera, and this is what I got. If you can look, you can see an eyelid. This is an eyelid. These are like blonde type of, I guess they're eyelashes. They're blonde eyelashes. You can see a vein here, and it's an eyelid, and it's blonde eyelashes, and it's not my eye. My eye don't look like that. I was actually, wearing my reading glasses taking pictures. So this is not my eye. This was interjected into my phone somehow or another. Blonde and this pale face and eyes. So what does that tell you? I guessed it off. It's maybe Nordics. They're in charge of these spheres, and that's what the Nordics are doing. They just sent me the hint saying this is the Nordics doing this, and I said, "Oh my, okay, all right." But I also been having some marks on my hands like this. This has been going on for the last month or so. They look like straight line marks, like a little laser cut, and bubbles of blood pops up. And that's been going on 3-4 times in the past 2-3 months. And this is again another one, another shot of the same one, but I got a different one here too, right here. This is a different one, and it's on a different knuckle, except here it's straight across here and goes here in 2 bubbles. So those marks are weird. They're odd. I don't feel them when they happen, and they bleed, and so I don't know what does it. But I thought to myself, there's something that's just, they're following me. There's something going on, and it doesn't matter how old you get, it will happen. Let me see if I can show this picture again. This that's the top of the orb. You can see the sun shining on it. Yes. Then when I got to Butte, Montana, I got a room there, and while I got the room, it was about 6 o'clock when I got there. I went ahead and got a room, and I was messing with my card, the key card actually. When you slide it in the computer thing in the door, it wouldn't work for me. The electricity in my body was just stopping it from working. I had to ask another guy to use my card to get in the room twice, inside the building and then also in the room, because my electricity was actually preventing it from working. I guess the magnetic energy or whatever. But while I was in the room, I had another picture. I only took 2 pictures in the room. Now I sent them to my wife to show her that at least I'm getting a nice room. And I sent them to her. There's only 2, but I did not take this picture here, in which you're going to find a little different. This picture was also interjected into my camera. Somehow or another, it got in my camera, and I don't know how it got there. And you can see it's not me. It looks like blonde hair. Here's an eye, and it looks like a pale face. But on the picture, it actually seemed like it was alive. When I touched it, it was moving around a little bit, and then it had over here had words that says art is the truth, like art is the truth. And I was looking at this, and look at the small bear. I never seen this picture in that room or anywhere in the hotel. There's looks like a little bear and a big man with a big face, and he's pale, looks like a tall white, and that's how big he was to the bears. And I thought he was showing me art is truth. And so whatever this was, it come in and out of, and I thought this could have been a portal. I'm going to let my mind run free here now and letting you people know what I'm thinking. This was a portal. this was a giant, tall white, and this was a white alien, Nordic alien, blonde hair, and just like the blonde eyelashes on the earlier picture. But how they got into my camera, I really don't know. I could never figure that out. And I stayed in that room overnight, got some good sleep, and then the next day I took off, and I headed for Butte. Now, I was at Butte, Montana, but I was heading for Idaho. That's my next stop off. I got it at exit 15 on I-90. It's Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, 2 miles before that location. I saw something that really ran chills up my back, and I looked over and I saw that orb, that sphere again, just hovering over a lake close to the highway in between some trees, and I saw it and I thought, oh my God, it's the same one I saw in Montana. I saw it in Idaho. So it actually followed me on my way to Idaho. So something was actually following me, and I don't know what it was. I know it was a sphere, something like the Booga sphere, but this sphere was kind of angry because it shot energy at me and caused energy to rock and roll my car and also myself for about a whole minute. And I'll never forget that. And that's what it made me nervous, the whole thing, even explaining it to a guest the other night. And I'm a little nervous now explaining it because I'm wondering, after I wrote my book about all my incidents, this stuff has to happen later on in life. And there's been a lot of electronic things going on and all this other stuff. So to recap, in Torrington, I saw an orange UFO. Chugwater, I saw those 4 orbs in my mirror, and I saw those 2 aliens in the back running across the road as I was taking off. And then I saw the Bigfoot. Now that's just a sideshow there, the Bigfoot, but I did see it. And then when I got to Livingston, I saw this sphere coming in town, then going out, and where I followed it up back out on the highway, and I took the pictures, and I got that energy, vroom, 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 that hit me like that. And then I took off, and I said, okay, that's enough. But then I saw this other sphere. I saw the other sphere in Idaho, near this town, Coeur d'Alene, in Idaho, and it was on I-90. I followed I-90 quite a bit to Seattle. But when I saw that other sphere, it looked just like the one I saw in Livingston, Montana, that's when I knew something just wasn't right. They were following me, and they were doing something about catching up with me, and they know where you're going to be. That's the thing. Anytime somebody thinks, okay, they must have some grasp of time or some control of time because they know where you're going to be and when you're going to be. It's just like that young girl that follows me, and my wife has seen her 3 times. She follows me around in town here, and I know she's connected to Hiroko, the one I saw in 2010, the hybrid ET, and I know she's one of them. But she's following me, so I don't know what's going on. And I have all kinds of electrical problems with my cars, and I take them to the dealership, and everything's fine. So I'm being pestered. I don't know. And you people out there that are older, and if you've had ET experiences, it's not over. It never gets over. It's following me around. I just want to let everybody know that I swear to God, the Creator, the resource, these stories are true that I just told you. Very true, because I'm a little nervous. I didn't get this nervous in the other interactions with UFOs, but this here kind of made me nervous because when it hit my body for 2 days, I felt like I was kind of like my nerves were all jittery in my legs, and I actually fell out of bed. It took 2 days to come out of that energy blast that I got. I didn't realize it, but it did. It did affect me. So I'm telling the truth. I swear to God. I never lie. Even in this book, I never lied about anything in this book. What do they want? And I'm going to write another book. I got information and material for 2 more books. So I want you to trust that what I just told you is true. Watch those Booga spheres or any of those spheres. They do have the ability to fire energy at you if they get tired of you taking pictures or whatever. This is Dave Emmons. Trust me, please. And Dave Emmons' Strange Reality, and I want to thank you and all my guests that ever appeared on the show. I will keep doing shows, and I will keep writing. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the story. Bye.